The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 have by far been the best games that I have ever played. They're my favorite video game ever. Hence why it's on my wall back there, if any of you caught that. I'm obsessed with the characters and the storytelling and the attention to detail, and while I have a few questions about the HBO show, I've been enjoying that as well. Being such a fan of The Last of Us, of course I'm going to look for any excuse to talk about it on this channel, and I was so excited to find out that there is something I can talk about regarding music with The Last of Us. Music is so important to The Last of Us, down to its storytelling and its symbolism, and it's just beyond fascinating to me, and I don't know if a lot of people catch on to it, so we're gonna do a little deep dive today. Before we get into it though, there will be spoilers for the game and the TV show because, you know, same story. If that is something you're trying to avoid, maybe skip out on this one. But for those of you who have watched the show, played the games, or just don't care, let's get into it. Now, not only is music an important aspect to The Last of Us, but so is the guitar. The guitar itself symbolizes basically the core elements of the story. Joel gave Ellie a guitar for her birthday, and at this very moment, the guitar became a very important symbol for their connection and their grief. And of course, loss and grief and pain is something very important to The Last of Us. Therefore, the guitar itself represents something important to the story. In this video, I'm going to talk about a lot of the covers that are chosen within the storyline and why characters sing certain songs, but the soundtrack itself is also very guitar-centered. Guitar-centered? No, guitar-centered. Because the soundtrack is mostly guitar, we are reminded of just how important this instrument is. It's a way that Ellie can stay connected to Joel throughout the entire story, and also allows her a way to express her feelings. But it's also a way for Joel to express his feelings. As I said earlier, the covers are an important aspect to The Last of Us because it seems like they do not just pick covers just for the heck of it. They pick very specific covers, and it's really important that we pay attention to the lyrics because they are really important to the context of the scene, because a lot of the times the songs that they choose give insight to what the characters are thinking. But not only does it tell the audience what the characters are feeling, but they also use this as a way to let other characters know how a specific character is feeling, because most of the time there is a character performing to someone else, and that song is targeted towards them. Now, I should mention, because I feel like there's going to be some people in the comments that bring it up, there is a small EP of sorts that The Last of Us did, which is a bunch of covers that the voices of Joel and Ellie did, and once again, same logic. The covers on there reflect the story and feelings of Joel and Ellie. Which, little side fact there, Through the Valley that's on that album was actually used in the TV show, and just hearing Ellie's video game voice in the show after seeing Joel's death, they did not hold my hand when they threw this brick at me. It was a gut punch. But going back to the video game, Joel sings a song for Ellie for her birthday when he gives her this guitar, and that is Future Days by Pearl Jam. And essentially, this song is Joel telling Ellie how important she is to him, how he would feel if he ever lost her, and how much he loves her. Considering that Ellie is growing up into a teenager and also distancing herself from Joel at this moment in time, it makes sense that Joel would feel the need to try to express this to her in some way. So let's look at the lyrics of Future Days just really quick. I think knowing the context of Joel and Ellie, these lyrics speak for themselves, but this is what's going on. If I ever were to lose you, I'd surely lose myself. Everything I have found dear, I've not found by myself. Try and sometimes you'll succeed to make this man of me. All my stolen missing parts, I've no need for anyone. I believe. And I believe 'cause I can see our future days, days of you and me. Back when I was feeling broken, I focused on a prayer. You came deep as any ocean. Did someone out there hear? All the complexities in games, no one wins, but somehow they're still played. All the missing crooked hearts, they may die, but in us they live on. When hurricanes and cyclones raged, when the winds turned dirt to dust, when floods came or tides they raised, even closer became us. All the promises at sundown, I've meant them like the rest. All the demons used to come around, I'm grateful now they've left. So persistent in my ways, hey angel, I'm here to stay. No resistance, no alarms, please, this is just too good to be gone. And I believe 'cause I can see, our future days, days of you and me, days of you and me. So by Joel singing this song to Ellie, he's telling her how important she is to him. that he found himself through Ellie again after dealing with the loss of his daughter Sarah, and how he's trying to be this father-like figure to her and trying to be better and trying to be there for her and hoping for a future together. But of course, The Last of Us is all about pain and suffering and making its fans suffer, and Joel did not get the future days with Ellie as he so wanted. In fact, he goes golfing and he dies.
Let's go golfing! Let's go golfing!
But after Joel's death, we see some interesting parallels between Ellie and Joel. It seems like Ellie has taken some advice from Joel and is now using music to express her feelings. Ellie also sings a little bit of Future Days, and it was probably a way for her to relive that memory and trying to keep that connection between her and Joel alive. Essentially what the guitar is in itself. It symbolizes the connection between Joel and Ellie constantly trying to chase those memories of Joel. But I don't think this is the entire reason that Ellie sang Future Days, because if I know anything about how The Last of Us utilizes its covers, there is something deeper it's trying to say here. Ellie's is the opposite message that Joel was trying to send. Joel was hopeful. Joel was wanting this bright future and expressing how lost he would be if he ever lost Ellie, but it wasn't that way. It was the opposite way. Ellie ended up losing Joel. And if you read those lyrics again, we can see that this is basically laying out the journey that Ellie takes in part 2. If I ever were to lose you, I'd surely lose myself. They may die, but in us they live on. Considering that Ellie took out most of Seattle, I think it's safe to say that she lost herself after losing Joel. She lost everything throughout the course of the second game. She lost Joel, she lost Dina, she lost her family, she lost essentially everyone she knows just trying to avenge Joel. So when Ellie sings Future Days, it's almost as a warning, trying to tell listeners what's going to happen, how Ellie feels about this, and how she's going to deal with this. Much like how Joel sang the song to show how important Ellie was to him, Ellie is singing the song to show just how important Joel was to her. Now, all of this symbolism aside, it seems like Ellie is just a music fan, so this is not the only cover that she does. She also does Take On Me, which is a very iconic scene in my opinion. Now, once again, this song is chosen for a specific reason, and I've seen multiple takes as to why Take On Me was chosen and what that may represent, but in my opinion, I think this song was targeted to the person Ellie sang it to, Dina, because it perfectly parallels the Joel scene with Ellie, where a character sings a song to another character to express how they're feeling. Now, Take On Me is a love song. It's all about taking risks and trying for a relationship even though it may end badly, and I think this is foreshadowing the future of Ellie and Dina's relationship. Ellie is being vulnerable in this moment and telling Dina that she is willing to try, even though, once again, pain and suffering, it doesn't end well for them. Let's look at the lyrics real quick, shall we? We're talking away, I don't know what I'm to say. I'll say it anyway. Today is another day to find you. Shying away, oh, I'll be coming for your love, okay. Take on me, take me on, I'll be gone in a day or two. So needless to say, I'm odds and ends, but I'll be stumbling away. Slowly learning that life is okay. Say after me, there's no better to be safe than sorry. All the things you say, is it life or just to play my worries away? You're all the things I've got to remember, you're shying away, and I'll be coming for you anyway. Now, obviously, there's different ways you can take this. You can say that Ellie is confessing to Dina and being vulnerable and saying that she's willing to try, even though that she's going through a lot right now. But with the "you're all the things I've got to remember," you can also make a pretty convincing case that this was targeted towards Joel in some way, because of course it is. But either way you take it, Ellie is expressing that she's starting to get a grasp of how life works. She's odds and ends, but she's slowly learning that life is okay. And I think this is where we're starting to lean on to Dina a little bit, that through the relationship that Ellie is starting to realize there is some positives in her life. I'll be gone in a day or two. She's certainly gone. And since Dina is there in this scene, and you can absolutely argue that there is some elements in this song that are targeted towards her, Ellie is still very much hurt over Joel, which is ironic considering that Joel is the reason, essentially, why they didn't work out. How do you feel about Ellie Williams? I agree. You can even argue that Ellie is also talking about her relationship with Riley and the whole loss surrounding that. Which, if you don't know who Riley is, that was Ellie's little love interest who got infected and didn't go so well. But through these scenes with Ellie, we see how important music is for the storytelling, and also just how much Ellie clings to her feelings, which I think it's a little ironic that she uses the same coping mechanisms that Joel did. Both of them use music as a way to express their feelings. Ellie learned that from Joel, much like how she also learned the guitar from Joel. Even though this is a game all about revenge and the quest for revenge, Ellie in the end does not get what she was searching for. In fact, at the very end, she chooses to spare Abby's life. And because she let go of her anger, she was perhaps even punished for this, and she lost her connection to Joel. She lost her connection to music. During the last fight with Abby and Ellie, Abby actually bites a few fingers off. The fact that Abby was the one to bite the fingers off may symbolize that it's Abby's fault that Joel and Ellie lost their connection. Had Abby never killed Joel, we wouldn't have been in this situation to begin with. But fans also noticed, I don't know why we're zooming in on Ellie's fingers, but fans were quick to notice that the fingers were not completely off during the fight. They were kind of hanging on for dear life, but they weren't completely off. Only when Ellie goes back to the farmhouse do we see that they are completely gone. This may imply that Ellie was the one to finish the job. But as always, there is some symbolism here. Abby was the one to start it, but Ellie was the one to finish it. Had we not had Abby, we wouldn't have had a part 2 of the game. Nothing exciting would have ever happened, probably. But it was Ellie's own conscious decision to end it. It was Ellie's decision to spare Abby and let go. But you're probably wondering, what does missing fingers have to do with music and the guitar? Well, the hand that's missing the 2 fingers is also the hand that frets the guitar. Meaning Ellie can't play the guitar now even if she wanted to. Since she spared Abby, she has let go of that connection. She has let go of the memories. Because she can't play the guitar, she has lost her connection to Joel, and we see further evidence of this in her actions. When Ellie returns to the farmhouse where her and Dina used to live, she leaves the guitar in there, and I think this symbolizes her finally putting Joel to rest. She's letting go of the memories, she is letting go of him, and finally trying to move on. There's something interesting that happens in Ellie's journal that's related to this. After Joel died, Ellie found it really hard to draw him. She said that she can only think about the moments where he died. She can't quite recall his face without thinking about those final moments. And I think this is how she remembered Joel. She remembered the bad things. She remembered the final moments, his death, and that is what fueled her for the longest time. But by the end of the game, we see that she has completed a drawing of him, who, conveniently enough, was playing guitar. Because she was able to remember his face and complete the drawing, I think this represents how Ellie is looking at him now. Instead of remembering the negative and letting that be the final memory, she's remembering him for how he was when he was alive. She no longer needs the guitar to remind herself of who Joel was. She doesn't need it to remind her of the connection that they had and the memories that she shared. She's done that herself. So there has essentially been my little analysis of how important music is and the symbolism behind the guitar in The Last of Us. If you enjoyed the video, please hit like and subscribe to join the Groovy Graveyard. Shout out to my patrons over on Patreon, and I will see you in the next one.